In this video, we're going to talk about the 8 money traps that you want to avoid in your 20s and 30s. These are the mistakes that cost people a lot of money over their lifetimes, and they keep them from being able to retire comfortably or do things that they really enjoy doing. So let's get into it. First trap is getting caught up in the lifestyle inflation trap. And essentially what this means is when you get paid more, you spend more. And so what happens is your salary goes up, let's say 10%. And then your spending goes up by 10% because you can afford to go out to eat more. You can afford to buy more clothes. You can afford to live in a nicer place. You can afford to drive a nicer car, right? Or maybe you just have more student loans and so your take-home pay doesn't go up even though your gross income did. So you find yourself living paycheck to paycheck, but just with a little bit more cushion each month. And eventually, if this continues, you might end up in the debt trap, which brings us into number 2. Number 2 is not having an emergency fund. When you don't have an emergency fund, you're basically living paycheck to paycheck. You're always looking at your checking account balance and figuring out how you're going to make ends meet for the next 30 days. And so this is why we like to keep 3 to 6 months worth of expenses in an emergency fund. We started doing this at the beginning of COVID. It was very helpful for us because we were able to dip into our emergency fund when we didn't have any income coming in. But we had bills to pay, and we were still able to stay on track financially. And the way we built our emergency fund was by cutting back on our spending. If we found ourselves going out to eat too much, we cut that back. If we found ourselves buying too many clothes, we cut that back. And we took all of that extra money and we put it into savings instead of spending it. And we kept doing this until we had 3 to 6 months worth of expenses saved up. The third money trap is going into debt. This can be credit card debt. This can be student loan debt. This can be auto loan debt. But either way, this is a big money trap that people fall into because they don't have enough money saved up to make a down payment on something. They can't afford to buy something outright, and so they choose to finance it instead. And what that does is it allows them to buy the thing now, but then they have to pay interest on top of the price they bought it for. And so it's a way more expensive option than just saving up and paying for it up front. We saw this a lot with the housing market crash in 2008 where people were taking out loans for houses that they couldn't afford, and then the housing market crashed and they lost their homes. And that is one of the reasons we chose not to take out a mortgage when we bought our first home. We wanted to be able to pay for it outright in cash so that if the housing market did crash, we would be okay. And we saved up a large portion of our income for a couple of years in order to be able to do that. Now there are some situations where financing makes sense, like if you're buying a car to get to and from work, or if you need to take out a student loan in order to make more money in the future. But there are also a lot of situations where people buy things they don't need and they finance those things, and that is a big mistake. Number 4 is letting other people influence your spending. This can be friends or family members or people on social media, but the problem with this is that these people aren't in your financial position. They don't know your income, they don't know your expenses, they don't know your financial goals, but they're telling you to go out to eat. They're telling you to spend money on things that you don't really need. And it's hard to say no, especially if you're in your 20s or your 30s. And you want to fit in, you want to be able to do the things that other people are doing. But that is when you have to look at your finances and decide if that is something you can actually afford. And you have to set boundaries with the people in your life to protect yourself from going down a spending spiral because of their influence. That could mean not hanging out with them as much as saying no to them when they want to go out to eat or shop or go on vacation together. But you have to do what you have to do to protect yourself and your financial goals. The 5th money trap is not investing for retirement. And this is such a big one because it is easy to forget about retirement when you're in your 20s or 30s. You're busy living your life, you're working hard, you're trying to save up for a down payment on a house, or you're trying to save up for a wedding, or you're trying to start a family, and it is easy to let retirement savings fall to the wayside. But here's the thing, the earlier you start investing for retirement, the less you have to save each month in order to reach your goals. We like to use the rule of 72, which is a formula that allows you to figure out how long it will take for your money to double. So if you're able to invest $100 a month and you're earning 8% every year, your money will double in 9 years. Now that doesn't sound like a long time, But if you wait until you're in your 40s to start investing, you'll have to invest for $150 a month in order to reach the same goal. So that shows you that the earlier you start, the better. And we've been able to retire early because we started investing for retirement as soon as we got married. And now we're in our 30s, and we're able to retire as soon as possible because of that. All right, number 6 is avoiding talking about money. This is such a big problem in our society because we don't really learn how to talk about money in school, and we don't really know how to talk about it with our family and friends. But the problem with that is that we grow up not knowing how to talk about money, and then we struggle with it our whole lives because we don't know how to ask for a raise. We don't know how to negotiate our salaries. We don't know how to talk to our spouse about money. And so we struggle with money our whole lives because we avoid the uncomfortable conversations that need to happen. And it is important to learn how to talk about money and to be open and honest with the people in your life about your financial situation. That way you can all work together to achieve your financial goals. The 7th money trap is wasting money on things that don't matter. This can be impulse purchases, it can be keeping up with the Joneses, it can be anything that you do just because you think you're supposed to do it or because you feel like you have to do it. The truth is you don't have to do anything that you don't want to do. You can say no to things, and it's not going to ruin your life. In fact, it's going to save you a lot of money. And that money can be used towards things that are actually important to you. For example, my wife doesn't like to wear jewelry and she doesn't like to spend money on clothes. So we don't waste our money on those things. Instead, we use that money to travel and experience new things together. And that's something that we value much more than things like clothes or jewelry. The 8th money trap is not educating yourself about money. This is probably the most important money trap to avoid because if you don't educate yourself about money, you're doomed to repeat the same mistakes that your parents made. You're doomed to live your life paycheck to paycheck without ever really achieving your financial goals. And the sad truth is that most people don't learn about money until they're adults. And by then it's too late. They've already made a lot of mistakes and they're already behind on saving for retirement. So it's important to start learning about money as soon as possible. Read books, listen to podcasts, watch videos, talk to people who are good with money. And the more you learn, the better off you'll be financially. And so those are the 8 money traps that you want to avoid in your 20s and 30s. We hope that you enjoyed this video and that you learned something new. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. We're happy to answer them. And if you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. We make weekly videos about personal finance and investing, and we'd love to have you join our community. Thanks for watching.